Lottery. Go to sny.tv/New York Lottery to enter. By Toyota, the Toyota Camry, Highlander, and RAV4 have something for everybody. Toyota, let's go places. And by Altice One. Enjoy the ultimate viewing experience with Altice One, only from Optimum. Get to Citi Field on Saturday night, September 29th, when the Mets play the Marlins at 7:10 for Fan Appreciation Weekend. After the game, fans will enjoy a fireworks show that lights up the Citi Field sky, presented by Verizon. For tickets, visit Mets.com/tickets. Jason Vargas trying to bounce back after a rough outing in LA. He'll take the bump for game number 2 against the Marlins. Coming up after this.
And all set to go in game 2 of our doubleheader. Miguel Rojas leads off. Jason Vargas' first pitch in for a strike, and we're underway.
Hi, Gare. There's Vargas's number.
Oh, you're Keith.
Ronnie's
you
gone.
weren't here for the first game.
We have a revolving door here. RJ is done, and it's my turn. Vargas, you saw his numbers coming off a tough outing in Los Angeles.
I heard you deserted us in game 1, that you went over to the dark side.
I went over to radio and did a half inning of play-by-play. Gave Wayno and Howie a break. They loved it.
Well, that certainly put an idea in my mind. 0-2 to Rojas leading off, and the curveball struck him out, or did he get a piece? He did, and it's held by Nito for strike 3. So it's a strikeout for Vargas to start his night. 1 out. Rojas wanted the home plate umpire Nick Marley to check to see whether the ball hit the ground.
And it did.
And it did. So he had a case.
Well, you know what, guys? Swing the bats.
Well, he swung.
Yes, he did.
And he made contact, but he's out anyway. There's the starting lineup for the Marlins. Rojas playing second base in game 2. Chris Bostic gets a start in left field. Peter O'Brien, who drove in 2 runs in the opener, in there again. And that one's hit toward the hole. A base hit for Lewis Brinson. Just past the dive of Jose Reyes, who's playing third base. And Brinson has his second hit in 12 at-bats in this series.
First ball, fastball hitting just to the left of Reyes, and quite a win by the Mets. Dramatic fashion with 2 bombs off Kyle Barraclough.
Down to their final out in game 1. Conforto tied it. Frazier won it. And now the Mets, who are 4-2 on this homestand, trying to send themselves off on their final road trip with a win. Brian Anderson 1 for 4 in the opener today, 4 for 11 in the series, and he takes a curveball for a strike from Vargas, who's throwing curveballs early in this game more than he generally does. Anderson at 272 for the year. Vargas, who started his career as a Miami, or actually then Florida Marlin, facing his old franchise for only the third time. One of those came this year. Remember, that was the game we were in the upper deck.
Yes.
And Vargas pitched a gem. It was his first really good game of the year. He pitched 5 scoreless innings against the Marlins that night.
Well, a 5-inning gem.
Struck out 7, had a great changeup that night. And Anderson flies one foul down the right side. That's 1-2.
And your defense for the Mets brought to you by Lexus. Nito behind the plate in this affair of McNeil at second base. They're giving him a good look, and good to see Dominic Smith at first base. In the outfield, the corner outfielder is a big hero out there, Michael Conforto. His 25th home run. He might hit 30.
He's got 14 since the All-Star break now. 4 in his last 5 games. 2-2 to Anderson with Peter O'Brien on deck. Vargas last pitched 9 days ago in LA. Lasted just 3 1/3, allowed 5 runs on 6 hits against the powerful Dodgers. And he's been pushed back a couple of times with the rainouts and the doubleheaders and the non-doubleheaders. Out of the strike zone to Anderson, it's 3-2.
Rain last night in my neck of the woods. All night long it rained.
Raining all over the world, Gabe.
Jeez. Particularly down in South Carolina.
Well, just wait.
Well, thank goodness that hurricane went down to a category 2.
Brinson runs, swung and missed, throw to second on a hop, skips by McNeil into center field. Brinson continues on to third. So Anderson strikes out. Nito had an excellent chance for a strike him out, throw him out double play, but the throw was not good, and Brinson winds up on third.
Well, he's definitely out by a mile, so that's got to be a stolen base and an advance on the air on the throw.
So 2 out of the inning, couple of strikeouts for Vargas, but now Brinson, with his second stolen base of the year, is on third after the throwing error by Nito. And Peter O'Brien will try and get him in. O'Brien hit an opposite field home run against Steven Matz in the first game. First of back-to-back home runs against Matz in the second inning. And then he drove in the go-ahead run with a base hit against Drew Smith in the 7th. So O'Brien playing both games of the doubleheader against the 2 lefties, and he takes a curveball for a strike.
The Mets only had 4 hits in that first game again, and the big blow. Congratulations to Mr. Matz, his first home run, a 2-run shot.
For a long time, it looked like that would be the highlight of his day. But then the Mets took him off the hook with the 9th inning heroics. It was the first time in Mets history that they've ever had back-to-back home runs, with the second one being a walk-off.
Really?
So they'd never had a situation ever in 57 years where there was a game tying home run followed by a walk-off home run, until it happened today. Changeup misses down to O'Brien, 2-1.
How many years now have the Mets been in existence here?
This would be the 57th, Keith.
Is that amazing? No, they are the amazing Mets.
Amazing.
They're not the Mutts. They're not the Mutts anymore.
Nor the Stems. Mets have certainly been playing well lately. 8 wins now in their last 11 games.
They called them the Mutts back then, didn't they? Gary, in the 60s?
Who did?
Well, the Met fans.
I was 4 years old. I do not
you don't recall? Okay.
That would have been disparaging.
Well, it might have been.
They were beloved.
I know they were beloved. It might have been Casey that said it. You know, Casey.
I think he called them amazing. He also said, "Can't anybody here play this game?"
Yes, he did.
Or at least according to Jimmy Breslin, he did. 2-2 to O'Brien, and the fastball misses away. 3-2. Vargas making his 18th start of the year in what has been a pockmarked season. Pockmarked by injury and ineffectiveness, but he has had some fine stretches as well. But the bottom line is not good. 6.75 ERA through his first 17 starts.
a very comfortable evening. It was nice down. I sat down with Mr. Gelbs during the game, that first game, for around 5 innings. It was fun actually to watch down there.
We saw.
And it was very
quiet.
Comfortable. No, the group behind us was very much into it.
And ball 4 as Vargas misses with a 3-2 changeup. And so the Marlins have 2 men on. Well, the Rockies won that game. They beat the Diamondbacks 10-3 at Coors Field behind Kyle Freeland, who gets his 15th win.
Wow.
And so the Rockies now with a 2-game lead on the Dodgers going into the Dodgers game tonight in St. Louis. Cubs playing that makeup game in Washington, trying to stretch their lead over Milwaukee.
Well, good for Bud Black and his Colorado Rockies, getting a little bit of breathing room, but they still got people nipping at their heels. Arizona's been put in a bad spot now.
Throw to first by Nito, and O'Brien is tagged out. Side retired. The back pick by Nito. We'll wait to see if the Marlins challenge the call. As Smith put the tag down, Dan Bellino made the call at first base. And O'Brien was safe.
Yes, he was.
So we'll get this challenged and we'll get it reversed
quickly.
Bellino put himself in position where Smith was blocking him from seeing the tag, which is an unadvantageous way of trying to make a call.
All right, guys, quickly. I think right now when they get there, there should be, how about this? Oh, we got way off the bag. How about on a play that is so obvious here that Chelsea can go to the guy down on the field, tell him he's safe. Just stop all this.
But presumably if they knew that, they would have done that already as soon as they put the headsets on. For some reason, even though we saw it immediately, made our call, it takes them a little bit longer.
But do you understand what I'm saying? No, on a play that's obviously that there should be someone in the well down there can make a signal so the umpires don't have to come over and put the phones on.
And they do overturn the call, so the inning continues. I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying to you is if they have the headsets on and the guys in Chelsea haven't told them yet, then obviously they're not capable of making the call that quick.
But my point is to have someone there to make a signal. So it's on an obvious play, so you don't have to get these guys to come over and delay the game.
You could change the entire system so that there are no headsets involved at all. That would be easy enough to do. 1-0 to Galloway, and he grounds one foul. I mean, you know, we've talked about this ad nauseum. How about take the managers out of it, take the replay coordinators out of it, and just let the umpires correct the calls by themselves. Give them a wireless system. The replay umpire buzzes the home plate umpire, says hold it, they check it, they fix it, we're done.
Yep.
Popped it up, shallow center. Jackson circles in and puts it away to retire the side. Vargas strands a couple in the top of the first. Mets come to bat with no score. Game one, but he gets the second game start. Jose Reyes gives Todd Frazier a blow. He'll play third base. Tomas Nido behind the plate. Dominic Smith at first base. Conforto, Nimmo playing both ends of the doubleheader. And Jeff Brigham makes just his second big league start for the Marlins.
6 foot even, 200 pounds. Jeff Brigham from Washington State.
Don't say that. Because he's a University of Washington guy. Because if you say Washington State, that's their rival.
Oh, the Cougars.
Yeah, he's a Husky. Ahmed Rosario takes it outside. It's 2-0. But I understand what you were trying to say.
Now
you were trying to differentiate between D.C. and the state of Washington.
You got me all nervous now. I'm afraid to open my mouth.
Just trying to keep you off balance, Keith, because I know that, you know, you try and dive right into this second game after sitting out game one. It can be hard.
Well, this 17 minor league starts this year. Let's get back to the basics. First really good year in minor league ball. 10-3 over out of 3 levels of the minor leagues. 95 innings pitched. Was ERA at 2.36, but his first outing, his major league debut, was not a good one, as he gave up 3 runs in 3 innings.
It was against Toronto 11 days ago, so he has had a lot of sitting around time since then.
Yep.
Brigham, 26 years old, 4th round draft pick by the Dodgers in 2014. Came over in a trade for Matt Latos the following year. And Rosario slugs one toward left center. Back goes Brinson deep in the gap, and he runs it down. Boy, he's got great running strides.
Yeah, he does. He's a big, long-legged kid. You can see right there. He can run.
He's got that Gary Maddox kind of stride in center field.
Playing a shade to the opposite field. Look at he just kind of loped over there, didn't he? And a canter.
You remember what Ralph Kiner said about Gary Maddox?
Yes.
3/4 of the world is covered by water. The rest is covered by Gary Maddox.
It was one of Ralph's great lines, was it not?
Here's Jeff McNeil. 3 for 10 in this series, and he takes a strike.
Well, I've seen more young players come up and just kind of moan and groan at the umpires, and boy, oh boy.
StatCast AI, powered by Amazon Web Services. We continue to marvel at the shifts they play against Jeff McNeil.
Yep, he uses the entire field, and I don't get, unless you're going to pitch him, pound him in. But he has the ability to inside out, Gare, and hit the ball the opposite field on a pitch in.
McNeil came off the bench in the opener, took a call, 3rd strike in his only at bat. Hitting .338. He slashes one foul, and it's 2-2. So let's look at the spray chart on McNeil, and you know, you got 30+% that are hit to the left of second base, and yet they continue to play full shifts against him.
I mean, I'm just not going to comment on that. All right. Well, I should comment. I'm saying, okay, I would not play the first baseman on the line. I would give McNeil the line. I would move the first baseman out in the hole more, around 10-12 feet. You can have your second baseman then shading another 15 feet, and if you want, you can have your shortstop a little bit to the left side of second base, because he can hit the ball over there, and then give him the left field line. Get the third baseman way in the hole, way in the hole.
Tapper back to the mound, and Brigham takes care of that for the second out.
But that's just my opinion, and I say it humbly.
Well, I agree with your opinion, and I think as teams see more of Jeff McNeil, we may see less shifting against him. But it seems as though now the shift is the default.
Yes.
You know, you start with the shift and then maybe work backwards instead of the other way around. Well, here's Conforto, who tied the game with a 9th inning home run in game 1. His 4th homer in the last 5 games. And he takes a curveball strike from Brigham.
And did I hear Ronnie correctly? It was a changeup? You remember, or was it a fastball? I know it was right down the middle.
Barrett Claw, I think that was a changeup.
Okay, which is a good sign for Michael.
Pops this one up into shallow left. Who wants it? Bostic, the left fielder, coming on, and he puts it away to retire the side. Mets go down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 1st. No score after 1. Second inning, no score. JT Riddle leads off and takes a strike from Jason Vargas. Riddle came off the bench in the opener and struck out against Jerry Blevins in the ninth. Blevins, an unsung hero of that win. He struck out the side in the top of the ninth, wound up the winning pitcher when the Mets walked off the win. 0-2 to Riddle, is 2 for 5 with a home run in this series. Vargas worked around a single and a walk in the first inning. Chris Bostic on deck, and then Chad Wallach for the Marlins, who continue to run rookie after rookie after rookie out there. In fact, the Marlins have used 25 rookies this year. And Jeff Brigham was starting against the Mets on the mound. The 6th rookie starter that the Marlins have used just against the Mets this season. 3 of them in this series.
Well, they've made everybody knows that they had a fire sale on the offseason. I think Don Mattingly right there on your screen has just done a terrific job with this club.
Riddle slashes one to left center, and Jackson comes over to get it. 1 out.
SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Now, this home plate scene, and you pointed this out, Keith. It was something a little weird about what happened when Frazier came home.
Look where Tom Hallion is, home plate umpire. Now, remember, first game of the series, Todd Frazier got run. So I was almost thinking, is there bad blood? I mean, it was kind of unprofessional of Hallion to do that, but Hallion just didn't try to provoke anything.
I mean, it's the umpire's job to stay there and make sure that the player hits the game-winning home run, touches home plate.
Right.
But I've never seen a home plate umpire stand on home plate and really block the player's way.
It was peculiar, to say the least.
Well, there's been a lot going on, you know, between Frazier and the umpires as Bostic takes up and away. Not just the fact that he got run the other night, but, you know, remember the play in Los Angeles where he went into the stands and was ruled to have caught a ball, and it turns out it wasn't the actual ball. I mean, Hallion didn't look at him or didn't confront him in any way as Bostic strikes out for the second out. But it was really odd the way he stood there and kind of blocked his way.
When I first saw it, I did not see the angle. I saw the angle from behind Hallion, so I didn't see his facial expression, and I thought that was kind of provocative there. And but now looking at it through the other angles that are tremendous, cameramen in the truck. There's no provocation there. Just odd.
Chad Wallach fouls one off. Vargas has retired the first 2 here in the second, now facing Wallach, who's making his 10th start for the Marlins this year. And he takes a curveball for a strike, and it's 0-2. Wallach, the son of the great third baseman Tim Wallach, still trying to get his career on track. Started out with the Reds last year. And he lifts this one to right. Nimmo slicing toward the line, a long way to go, and he reaches down and gets it in foul territory right before hitting that low fence. That's a hard play to make. Full sprint, that fence coming up on you in a hurry, and Nimmo able to reach down and make the play to end the inning. Nicely done by Brandon, and then prevents himself from flipping over that wall. Still no score in the second. inning, just made that catch against the sidewall.
A nice padding there. Brandon always hustling.
And then after jamming that glove hand against the sidewall, taking a look at that hand and wrist. Dominic Smith leading off the home second and takes a strike from Jeff Brigham. 0-2. Dom made the second out in the top of the ninth, coming off the bench as a pinch hitter before the heroics from Conforto and Frazier. 3 for 10 in this series, including a home run.
Near Marlin Jeep defensive infield, Tim Wallach's son, Chad Wallach, behind the dish in the second game of this doubleheader. And in the outfield, you've got a host of young guys that are getting their opportunity.
Smith just got a piece. That one caught the home plate umpire, Nick Marley. Jeff Brigham, who missed a lot of the last couple of seasons because of injury. Last year he had a shoulder issue, an oblique issue, only made a handful of starts. This year missed 2 months because of an oblique. So he might have gotten here faster but for those issues. Smith lofts one to shallow center. That may fall, and it does for a base hit. Prince's first step was back, and he allowed that ball to fall in, and the Mets have their first base runner of the game.
That ball had a peculiar tail to it. He thought it was hit harder, and it just kind of sliced away from him.
So Smith with his 4th hit of the series, and now Brandon Nimmo steps in. Nimmo had a double in the first inning in game 1 today. Wound up 1 for 4. He's 2 for 12 in the series.
You know, he always finds a way, Brandon, to get on base, whether it's a base hit or on an error or a walk. He's always in the middle of things.
Started the day with the 4th highest on base percentage in the National League. It's at .391 right now.
But I like the .391 as opposed to when he first came up, where he was looking for walks. I think now that with his maturation, having to get a chance to play, he realizes there's a time to go up and try to get a walk, work a pitcher, and then there's a time to swing the bat and make it happen. And I think he's made a lot of progress in that area.
Well, it's been an interesting path for Nimmo this year, because remember, he hit a lot of home runs early in the season, and then he got to a little bit of a funk where he was trying to hit home runs. Then he's also gotten hit on the hands a couple of times, and he went into a little bit of a funk after the first one, but not after the second one.
Well, I almost think that home run streak kind of set him back there. I think that he hasn't hit a lot of home runs in the second half. And really, if you get double digits out of Brandon, anywhere from, 10 to 15, I'm happy with that. I want that .391 on base percentage. I want him in the middle of things that he's been doing. He is a classic table setter.
They'll also get a lot of doubles and triples for you. He gets a walk here, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well,
And now a quick message from Citi.
Think fast.
Now Austin Jackson, starting both ends of the doubleheader, went 0 for 3 in the opener. Looking for his first hit in this series.
There's an example right there. I just don't want to belabor a point, but Brandon draws a walk, advances the runner. The Mets are in business. You chip away instead of this. What we've seen the last couple of years is home run, home run, home run. You see a lot now. The Mets have the ability with these young players to manufacture runs.
Brigham ahead on Jackson 0-2.
What time did you get home last night?
In the door about 1:45.
I got in around 2:10.
Yeah.
And my daughter,
in bed by 2.
My daughter, in her infinite wisdom, called me at 8 o'clock in the morning.
You weren't up by 8?
I was not up by 8.
I was up at 7:30.
So I just stayed up. I took a little snooze, a half-hour cat nap literally with Haji.
The cat nap with the cat?
Yes.
It's like a cat squared nap. Well, my question to you is, when did you embark from your residence to come to the ballpark today, since you didn't have to work the first game?
I left at a little before 2:30. And I had a car service take me in because it's the beginning of a road trip, so I was able to take a snooze in the car too.
So did you have Howie and Josh, or Howie and
No,
Wayne on the radio driving in?
I just, after yesterday and that rain delay, I had my fill of baseball for that. You know, I figured I'd get enough here.
So how, when you got here in the middle of the game, did you have somebody fill you in on what had happened? Did you, because you didn't,
No,
you weren't here for Matz's home run, right?
No, I did not have that. I did not. I went on my iPad when I was coming in, and I caught up on the game. When I looked, it was in the 5th inning, and it was 2-2. I had no idea how the runs were scored.
Jackson takes strike 3 called. Brigham gets him looking at a changeup, and that's the first out of the inning.
That got the inside corner. Yes, sir.
Maybe the first changeup he's thrown. It looked like it surprised Jackson. So 1 out of the inning. So if you weren't watching early in the game, you didn't know about the glorification of Gloria.
No, I did not.
But you got to meet her later on, I saw.
I had a little chat with her. I went down by the Met dugout where Steve is. Steve Gelbs, of course. There she is. And I actually watched the game from around the 5th inning or through the 8th. It was fun to watch down there. You know, you lose perspective up here looking down from the rear, the whole field in front of you. It was fun to look beyond the field level and watch. Now, I also noticed one thing I didn't notice before. That when you strike out, that's a long walk back to the dugout.
Do you think it's longer now than when you were playing?
Yes.
Might take you longer now.
Well, that cut down 30 of my strikeouts.
Reyes takes the breaking ball low and it's 2-1. Well, they always say it looks so much easier from up here.
Yep.
Do you find that to be the case?
Yeah, it looks easier from the center field camera. As the ball comes home, it looks slower than it is. And you can't really get a feel with this shot. But this, you know, it's like you can sit there and go, how'd you miss that one? You know, but
Riddle goes back to play the pop-up. They call the infield fly rule, and that's the 2nd out. So after giving up a hit and a walk, Brigham retires the next 2. And now it's left to Tomas Nido with 2 out and 2 on.
What I didn't like down there is the fact that because you've got all these box seats and they've got the fans coming closer, and I've mentioned this before, is that at Old Shea, the dugouts were closer to the home plate, and you were able to sit at the far end, closest end of the dugout where Rusty used to sit, and you had a great angle to watch the pitcher work. Where the dugouts are now, you're at right angles and you can't really tell what the pitcher's doing. Everything looks faster, and I wouldn't like that as a player because I was always in the dugout. Like that, there's the angle, and you just can't. You can't tell his breaking ball. You can't. Its fastball looks like it's 500 miles per hour. You get no feel what's going on from that angle. That would drive me nuts.
Nido drives one to right, but Galloway's right there, and that retires the side. So Brigham works around trouble in the bottom of the 2nd. We go to the 3rd with no score. moment this season. Get New York Mets home screen icons and features such as MLB.TV Game of the Day, pitch tracking, in-game highlights, live radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB at Bat today.
Let's take a look at the road ahead, presented by Buick. There you go, Gare. And that looks like you up there in the right-hand corner in Gelbsy. How come you're not with us?
There you go.
Nice smile. We got Boston coming up.
Oh, you are a trip, my friend.
Oh, it's a 4 o'clock on Saturday. We can have a nice dinner Saturday night. Guys, I don't know much about Boston.
There you go. Jeff Brigham takes the strike. Oh, boy.
Well, should be nice crowds in Boston. Should be fun.
Yes, indeed. Red Sox have won 100 games for the first time since 1946. They might win 108 or more this year, Keith.
Well, they got a shot.
Keith, by the way, in case you didn't know, is obsessed with the number 108. Because that's how many the Mets won in 1986.
Well, you know why I became obsessed? Because math is not my strong point. And you said it's a 2/3 of the games because 3 times we lost 54 and 3 times 54. I never knew that until you mentioned that just recently.
So you believe that winning 2/3 of your games it's a benchmark?
Well, no, I think it's only been about 11 teams that have won over the history of baseball.
Brigham lines a base hit. So in his first big league at bat, Jeff Brigham is batting 1,000. And they'll take that baseball out of play and save it for posterity.
Maybe Russ over there can look it up. I think there's only 11 teams. I think, Russ, I could be wrong, that have won 108 or more games. I know the Orioles did it 2 years in a row, 69 and 70.
Well, we've seen some pitchers who can hit today. Matz with a home run in game 1. Now Brigham with a hit in his first big league at bat. And now Miguel Rojas takes ball 1. Well, of course, winning large numbers is not a guarantee of postseason success. Just ask the Seattle Mariners, who won 116 but came up short of the World Series. Rojas pops one foul, backing out of play, 1-1.
What year did the Indians lose? Was it 54?
Yeah, the Indians won 111 in a 154 game schedule.
Got beat by the New York Giants and Dusty Rhodes.
Got swept.
Yep.
And those cheap home runs at the Polo Grounds. 257 down the line.
Mel Ott.
Would you have loved that?
Mel Ott made a killing out there in the Polo Grounds.
Rojas takes the curveball down. It's 2-1. Rojas struck out his first time up.
But how about back-to-back years? The Orioles win 109, 108, or was it 108 2 years in a row, and 69 and 70? I mean, after getting beat by the Mets, they come right back and finish the job.
That's drilled to deep left field. Back goes Conforto for a look, but that's gone. Miguel Rojas slugs a 2-run homer, his 11th home run of the season, and the Marlins jump out in front 2-0.
Rojas just performs well against the Mets.
His first hit in this series, and it's a 2-run shot for Rojas, who had never hit more than 1 home run in a season before this year, but now he's got 11.
Now that's the 14th home run given up by Vargas to right-handers.
So 2-0 Miami, and now Lewis Brinson. Brinson had a base hit, stole a base in the first inning.
That's how quick the ball. And you know, Vargas is not an overpowering pitcher, but you can see you haven't got much time to think. It was interesting to watch them from my perspective on the field in the first game, and Drew Smith had a tough time, and he couldn't get his breaking ball over, and he was throwing hard, but they were on his fastball, and you can tell that Drew was throwing hard. But when you can't get that secondary pitch up and you know that fastball's coming, they were taking some good cuts off him.
Now let me ask you this, because sometimes when we're up here and we have the benefit of the radar gun, you can be a little bit skeptical about the radar readings. So when you're down on the field and things look a little bit faster, are you less skeptical of the radar readings? I would.
It's still, even if I had a box seat over by slightly behind home plate, it's still, it's not like being in the box.
Because before and Brinson's on.
I will contend that, and I will agree that there are more hard throwers than ever before in the game today. I do question the radar gun, and it's all, to me, it's all relevant. You know, 91 in the 80s might be not. I feel will be 95 on today's gun. They measure it different. They measure it differently, and I do think there's a bit of PR in there too. Pump everybody to go all the oohs and ahs. But if everybody threw, I mean, Nolan Ryan threw 100 miles an hour, and he would throw it for 9 innings, and people got the bat around on him. He had a good breaking ball.
Vargas gets ahead of Brian Anderson with a changeup. Anderson struck out his first time up. Vargas still looking for his first out in this third inning. Started out with a base hit by the pitcher. Back-to-back changeups gets him ahead on Anderson. 0-2.
Well, there's your Cambio and Espanol. He turns it over too to get a little sinking action.
Your Spectrum high-speed pitch. It would make it a doubleheader sweep for the Marlins starters on the radar gun. As though that is the be-all, end-all. (0-2) from Vargas, and Anderson goes down swinging on the fastball, and there's the first out of the inning. Fourth strikeout for Vargas, second time he's gotten Anderson.
The ball ran the last minute there out of the strike zone. He chased.
So 1 out and 1 on. Now Peter O'Brien, who walked his first time up. Rare doubleheader where the Mets are starting 2 lefties. So Don Mattingly has been running his right-handed platoon out there. So O'Brien getting the start in both games, and Derek Dietrich, who's been playing almost every day, sitting both games. Tomorrow the Mets will have Noah Syndergaard open the series at Fenway Park. Mets will miss David Price in that series. Price has been just red hot. Pitched another great game for the Red Sox yesterday. There's a call, strike 1-1. They'll get Hector Velasquez, who's been a spot starter. He's done most of his work out of the bullpen this year. He'll pitch tomorrow for Boston. Mets need a starter Saturday. Maybe Corey Oswalt, maybe somebody else. Anyway, Rick Porcello for the Red Sox, and then DeGrom Sunday against Sale. Popped up into shallow right center. Nimmo has a long way to come, and he gets there.
And as I was coming in on my iPad gear, a Bleacher Report came up and said that Sale on Sunday would only throw 3 innings.
Right. He threw 1 inning his first start back from the DL on Tuesday night, and is expected to go 3 on Sunday. But that's going to be a huge test for Jake against an incredibly potent Red Sox offense. I mean, they've got 2 MVP candidates, right, in Mookie Betts and J.D. Martinez. Both have had phenomenal seasons, but it's not just them. I mean, Xander Bogaerts and Andrew Benintendi. I mean, and so much of the core of that offense is young. Betts is only 25. Bogaerts is only 25. Benintendi's only 23. And these guys are all producing at an incredibly high level.
You got to be happy with that.
Red Sox leading the major leagues in runs scored. And they're going to be hard for anybody to beat, especially if they get Sale back fully healthy by the time the postseason arrives.
Well, that's their goal.
0-2 to Galloway, and he takes the high fastball and held the swing. 1-2. And then you got Craig Kimbrell at the end of the game. 39 saves this year.
Yeah, I could never figure out why Kendall was traded initially to the Padres by Atlanta, and then getting moved to Boston. He's a quality pitcher. I know money probably had a lot to do with it.
Galloway down on strikes, and that ends the inning. 5 strikeouts for Vargas, but the Miguel Rojas 2-run homer puts the Marlins in front. 2-0 going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Package today. Choose from full season, half season, or 20-game plans that include opening day and the Subway Series. Plus, for a limited time, receive an authentic or replica Met jersey with your purchase. Purchase your plan today at Mets.com/ticketplan.
Now, when they get their authentic or replica jersey, do they get their choice of the name that they want in the back? Can they get a Hernandez 17?
That's a good question, Gare. I don't have the answer to that.
Maybe a Lima 17, a Lopez 17, a Koo 17. Tatis 17. Or just, you know, just your standard issue Hernandez 17.
That'll do. I'm a blue-collar guy.
Jason Vargas pops one up into shallow left. And Bostic edges over. 1 out. Jeff Brigham looking for his first big league win. Now has himself a lead thanks in part to his base hit. There's a fan proudly showing off his Hernandez 17.
Very nice.
Prefer that to the Hernandez 37.
Yeah, but you know why? You know, I had to have a 7 on my back.
I know, but it's just 17 is such a sleek number.
It is.
And 37 is just
not. It's a pitcher's number.
It's a little puffy.
It's a pitcher's number.
Of course, it was Casey Stengel's number, so you couldn't wear it here anyway.
And 17 in the Cardinals was Dizzy Dean.
So if you had come to the Mets and 37 had not been retired, would you have wanted to keep it? Or would you have preferred to have gone to a...
I would have changed.
You would have changed no matter what.
I was happy that it was retired. I would have changed. 17 was available. I was thrilled. It's a much better number, isn't it? Well, you already said that. It's sleek.
It's definitely sleek.
And 7's a lucky number.
Rosario laces one up the middle, who took Brigham's head off. And Rosario's got the Mets' second hit.
Nice hitting right there. Not trying to pull that breaking ball here. This is the key. Let it come to you. Rip it up the middle. Young hitters want to go out and get it. They lose their patience and you rush out after it. Hit it in front of the plate. Let it come to you. In that case for Rosario right there was a pitch he could have pulled. He went right up the middle.
You mean let it get deep?
Yeah, well, okay.
1 out and 1 on. Here's Jeff McNeil.
Here's the Ford leaderboard. Highest averages since August 17. Look at who's numero uno.
It's a 4-week span.
How about Scooter Gennett? He's got a commanding lead right now in that batting title race.
Neil fouls back a first pitch fastball. Jeff at a comebacker his first time up. Now, what do you think about McNeil and 68? He's had such success early in his career wearing this number. Do you think he's going to trade it in for a better model next year?
That's a good question. That's kind of like a number that, a guy like Jim Cat Cavage would have back in the old.
Yeah, I mean, it's an offensive guard's number.
Guys, he is going to change his number next year. He told me that the other day. The real question, though, is what is the number going to be? Because he always liked to wear 1, but Rosario had 1 throughout the minor leagues. So he's got to think of another number. He's not sure yet.
And I'm a bit of the old kind of school. When you're a rookie, you get the number. You should be happy to be in the big leagues. And you give the number the equipment manager gives you. And then you earn your stripes the next year. You pick the number you want.
Well, I'm thinking he's wearing 68, which because you are good at math, is a multiple of 17. It's 17 times 4.
Oh, no, thank you, Gareth. I'll write that down, put it in my back pocket. I was given 18 by Butch Yackerman, the old-time clubhouse man, and 8 was the number I liked the least. Forgive me, Yogi. Kind of see pitcher starting to pitch a little more inside. As a matter of fact, a lot more inside to McNeil.
We'll try and come in there again, and McNeil pops it up. Riddle moving over for it and puts it away for the second out.
But boy, if you make a mistake inside on McNeil and leave it out on the inner half or any part of that plate, like he did the other night with a 3-hit night, he scalded the ball on pitches that were meant to be inside, and they missed, and he hit some frozen ropes. If you're going to come in on him, you better get it in.
So 2 out. Rosario still at first, and now Conforto will fly out to left his first time up, and takes a fastball for a strike. 1-1 to Conforto, and Michael hits one right off the fists, a little flare that Rojas is able to handle, and that retires the side. A hand and one left. So far so good for Jeff Brigham. He's got a 2-0 lead after 3. Fourth inning, JT Riddle leads off against Jason Vargas and tops one foul. Riddle flied out to center his first time up. Chris Bostic and Chad Wallach to follow for the Marlins in the fourth. They took the lead in the third on Miguel Rojas' 2-run homer. And Riddle takes the curveball off the plate, 1-1. Hasn't been an easy night so far for Vargas, working on 8 days rest after his start in Los Angeles. Let's see, barring any kind of weather, Mets have only one off day remaining. It's the final Monday of the season.
That's right. And you come back from the Washington, correct?
Boston, Philly, Washington, and then the off day before the final homestand. That's grounded to the right side, and McNeil is in front of it. He throws out Riddle one away, and of course the news today will be every major headline that David Wright will be activated for the final homestand of the year and will be starting for the Mets in that final Saturday game on the 29th of September. I don't know how much of the press conference you got to see, Keith, but David was so emotional. I mean,
sure,
moved to tears. You know, talking about not only the fact that he's not going to play after this last homestand of the season, but also that he's getting a chance to play, which was so important to him after working his way back for 2.5 years.
Well, it's been your life for, you know, since your dad put a bat in your hand when you were a little kid. And all of a sudden, you know, you got a whole second half of your life left. It's not like golf where you can play seniors, or tennis where you got some senior play, some match play. You're done. And you know, it's you got to find out what you want to do with yourself. And you know, it's an emotional moment. I mean, when I realized, and I think that David realized at some point, okay, I can't do this anymore. And you come to the realization, and you look yourself in the mirror, and obviously he made this choice now. And the same thing happens with everybody. And you sit there and go, well, you know, it's done. It's over. Everything. It's everything that you put into your life. And David put so much into getting back onto the field. So, yeah, it is an emotional moment.
I mean, he talked about how when he was rehabbing at first, his idea was that he was going to get back to being a player at the level that, you know, that he has always been able to enjoy. And back in the day when it was easy to get himself ready, and he said as he ramped up baseball activities, it was getting so taxing and it was such a struggle that, you know, the light bulb went on at some point that he just was not going to be able to do this at that level anymore without something going wrong physically. Strike three called as Bostic's out for the second out.
Well, I can tell you that I think there's some clips of David here over his career. And, you know, David just said it, you know, what it took to get himself to go. And it is realizing that the things that you never even gave a second thought to, scoring from second base on a base hit, first to third on a single, scoring on a double, going to your left or right in the field, and all of a sudden, you never thought about it. You just react, and all of a sudden now, boy, I don't know if I can go first to third. I don't know if I can score in a single. Why didn't I get to that ball to my right? I should have got there. You know, and finally it clicks. If you know, and whether it's you're physically in pain, even or if you're at rehab to a point where you're no longer in pain, and it is ball hit by pitch right there. I lost when I broke my kneecap, and I don't want to make this about myself. But when I went to Cleveland, I thought, Gary, I was going to play every day, hit third for the Indians, and contribute to that young club with Carlos Baerga and those guys there. And I realized around the second week of spring training that I had lost 2 steps with that broken, and I could ill afford to lose a half a step. And that's when I started starting to doubt myself.
Brigham trying to butt his way on, and Nito with a terrific play to retire the side. Great reaction by Nito, popping out from behind the plate to snag that foul bunt. And that gets Vargas through the 4th. In the middle of a long day of baseball at Citi Field, let's not forget that there's another whole world out there with a beautiful sunset. Well, there is your Mets versus Marlins highest batting averages ever. Did you have Travis d'Arnaud in the pool? Would never have guessed that. David Wright's probably high on that list against almost every team.
David particularly wore out the Phillies. Am I correct? At the old at the stadium there.
He certainly did. Remember when he came back from the disabled list and hit a home run his first time up?
Yep.
In fact, twice he came back from injuries and hit a home run his first time up in Philadelphia. That stadium held a lot of memories for him. Dominic Smith had a base hit his first time up. And he flies this one out to left, and Bostic measuring it. 1 out. Well, Jeff Brigham, who went just 3 innings against Toronto in his first big league start 11 days ago, has now eclipsed that, getting the first out of the 4th today. Gave up 4 hits and 3 runs in that first start against Toronto. No runs and 2 hits so far tonight. Now it's Nimmo, who walked his first time up in this game. Keith, we were talking about David Wright and acknowledging that the end is near when you're not physically able anymore. It obviously meant an enormous amount to David to be able to take the field again. It became his goal once he realized that, you know, he wasn't going to be a full-time big league player anymore, that he wanted to get on the field for that one last time. Can you understand that as a motivating factor?
Well, I think the motivating factor, and he stated it, is that he wants his family to see him play, his young family to see him play in a uniform. So I think that's what's overriding more than anything for David. I mean, that's just my opinion.
Yeah, well, he certainly has made that clear, and you know, his daughters are so young. They, you know, 20 years from now they may not even remember it, but it's important to him to know that they had that opportunity.
Right.
Nimmo flares one in the middle of the infield, and Riddle snags it for the 2nd out. Sunday before the Jets-Dolphins game, join Jonas Schwartz, Ray Lucas, Willie Colon, Bart Scott, and Janae Coakley for up-to-the-minute news and analysis leading up to the kickoff on the Jets pregame show presented by M&T Bank. Coverage begins Sunday at 11:30 a.m. only on SNY. It's the Mets-Jets combo. Sorry, did you want to read that promo?
Yeah, I got mad at Kerry.
Didn't mean to steal your thunder.
You're getting a break. You've had a tough 48 hours.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Here's what I think, and I mentioned this to Ronnie when I found out about your exploits during Game 1 today. Now that you've got a few reps of play-by-play over on the radio side, and we all know radio play-by-play is, you know, a little tougher than television play-by-play. We're just caption providers on this side of the aisle. I'm thinking that sometime during this game, maybe you'd like to take a crack at a little TV play-by-play.
I'll do a half inning. But radio, you've got to constantly talk and describe the action. And with television, you know, you don't want to talk too much because obviously people see what's going on. They see it's a ground ball to shortstop. I mean, Bill Webb taught me less is more in television. So you can call third strike on the inside corner, by the way.
See, that's a good warm-up for yourself. I think you're almost to the point of being ready to go after 4-2 Miami.
Mr. Vargas. There you go, his last 2 starts. Garrett, no laughing at me. Okay, I can take a lot, but I'm not going to stand for it tonight.
There you go. Third time around the batting order for Jason Vargas as we go to the 5th. 2-0 Marlins. Miguel Rojas with 1 swing provided all the runs in this game. He hit his 11th home run of the year, a 2-run shot. That came in the 3rd.
Here's the bomb right here. That was a fastball. Tried to get it inside, and he got it there. Just didn't have enough giddy up on it, and Miguel launched it.
It's been fascinating watching Rojas this year because, you know, last year he was a high on base percentage guy. It was .361 on base for the year, but you know, he only hit 1 home run. So this year he's at 11 home runs, but his on base percentage is under .300. Smith hits Vargas, and they get Rojas for the first out. So, you know, you understand the home run revolution in the game, right? Particularly for players who are capable of hitting 20 to 30 home runs a year. So for a player like Rojas, is the trade-off acceptable to say, you know, he's got 11 home runs instead of 1, but his on base percentage dropped over 60 points?
I don't think that he's a guy that you're going to look for RBIs from. I think you want, I mean, to me, he's a guy that can hit you 10, 12 home runs, drive you in 50 runs if he plays every day. So you want that on base percentage too in a perfect world. I think you want a little bit of both.
So I guess he has to find the happy medium. Lewis Brinson's been on base twice in this game with a single and a walk. A good curveball by Vargas has him down to the count 0-2. Brian Anderson on deck. And change up down, a ball and 2 strikes to Brinson. Brinson's only got 2 hits in this series, but has looked so much better than he did earlier in the year. He flies this one out to center, and Jackson drifts over to get it, and there are 2 out. So Vargas has set down the first 2 in the 5th, and now will take on Brian Anderson, who has been up twice and struck out both times. Vargas has walked 6 already tonight. That makeup game in Washington has gone to the 10th inning, and the Cubs have just taken the lead on a bunt single by Javier Baez. 4-3 Cubs in the 10th. That's after they had that horrible weekend of rain last weekend in Washington, where the Cubs and Nats sat around all night, then played a rain delayed doubleheader. Finally got postponed on Sunday. And the Cubs had to go back to Washington to make up that game today. And every game of vital importance now to Chicago, with the Brewers breathing down their neck.
Yep.
After Milwaukee took 2 out of 3 from the Cubs.
Dodgers jumped on St. Louis in the first inning, up 3-0.
And they got Kershaw pitching. Anderson strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. With 7 strikeouts for Vargas halfway through. 2-0 Marlins. Mets down 2-0, facing the rookie right-hander Jeff Brigham in just his second big league start. Jose Reyes leads off and takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, Mr. Brigham, much better performance thus far, as opposed to his major league debut, where he got rocked up 3 runs in 3 innings. And that was on 4 hits and 4 walks and a hit batsman. So it was not a good debut.
Tyler Bachelor up in the Mets bullpen with pitcher spot due up third in this inning. Reyes popped up his first time up, playing third base in the nightcap after Todd Frazier delivered the walk-off home run in Game 1 today. And that's pulled toward the hole, but cut off nicely by Rojas. And he throws out Reyes, one away. 6 in a row retired by Brigham. If you were not around for Game 1 today, well, you missed some entertainment. You missed Steven Matz's first major league home run. You missed the Mets down to their final out in the 9th inning with the bases empty. Get back-to-back home runs from Conforto and Frazier. First time the Mets had ever done that, back-to-back home runs for a walk-off win. And they did it today. That's telling Syndergaard all about his home run swing. Noah saying, I've got 4 in my career, so don't give me any grief.
He's saying, welcome to the club.
Saying, I hit 2 in 1 game at Dodger Stadium. Top that. Syndergaard will be swinging the bat at Fenway Park tomorrow. Maybe he can wrap one around the pesky pole.
Like Tim Tuffle. He wrapped it around the pole in that losing effort in Game 5. And then Lenny wrapped it around the pole on Game 3 to get us rolling in '86. That was off oil can, if I recall.
Was that the game with Lenny was taunting Oil Can?
Yeah, that was the game. Oil Can didn't pitch against us the rest of the series. That was his lone start. I think Game 2, did they throw Nipper at us in Game 4?
Sounds right.
And then they came back with Hurst, who beat us, and then Clemens the Cy Young.
And then Hurst again in 7.
Yeah. If they would have stuck with the rotation, it would have been Oil Can Boyd in Game 7. And
that wasn't going to happen. Well, they might have had to do that if not for the rainout, right?
They got lucky with the rainout because Hurst would have been on a 3rd day, if I remember. And he was able to get a 4th day, a pitch on the 4th day.
Didn't matter.
I took care of him.
Nito drives one to deep left field. Bostic takes a look, and that's out of here. Tomas Nito goes deep. And the Mets are on the board. It's 2-1. First major league home run for Tomas Nito.
All the Mets runs via the home run today. And this is a high fastball. And he stays level. That was a bullet.
So the Mets get on the board, and now Vargas will stay in and bat for himself. Mets out the bullpen cranking. But Vargas taking the turn at bat, with the Mets having sliced the lead to 1 run. Well, we had the unlikely home run hitter in the first game, Steven Matz, his first big league home run. Now Nito, also his first major league home run.
That Mets home run means City will donate enough for No Kid Hungry to provide 20,000 meals to kids in need. Very nice.
Vargas fouls off the fastball 2-2.
Well, here's the side swing right here, and watch the level swing. Let go with one hand. Just to reach, it was a little on the outer half.
Vargas flied out his first time up tonight. And he lines one into center field, and he's got himself a base hit. So Vargas has his third hit of the season, and the unlikely hits keep on coming.
Well, the Met pitchers can swing the bat. Looks like young Jeff Brigham is starting to get the ball up now. Choking up on the bat. Vargas.
And he was using the Jeff McNeil novelist bat. That's become the rage among the Met pitchers.
Why not? It's like a war club.
So that's the same bat that Vargas just used that McNeil is holding in the on-deck circle. So they're not only using the same model, they're
using his
sharing
gamer?
the bat. Yeah.
Oh, I would never let a pitcher use my gamer.
See?
Never.
Brought it back from Vargas as a bat and handed it to McNeil.
Oh, they'll get their hands on it. They'll take all the hits away. No.
Well, but you've got a 35-year-old veteran pitcher and a rookie second baseman. Are you going to say no?
He's got a dozen bats, at least 2 dozen bats with him. I guarantee you. Here, take one. Here, have it. Or go pick the one you like.
But if the pitcher gets a hit with the bat, doesn't it mean that that bat is, it was hot? Do you want to use that bat after it has delivered a hit?
I've never.
Or do you feel as though the hits have been taken out of it by the pitcher getting a hit?
I've never had a pitcher ask me to use my bat.
Let's check in with Steve.
Guys, DeGrom did the exact same thing the other night. I have seen Jeff McNeil come out of this dugout without a bat in his hand far more than I've ever seen any player come out without a bat in his hand.
I mean, it's a unique bat because it is the novelist model. DeGrom had some success with it, so you know he's going to stick with it.
Steve, you're down there in that same spot. You still got that noisy group behind you?
I do, but I got to be honest with you. The only thing I can think about is I'm without my buddy. Feels weird down here without you now.
Well,
keeping your seat right next to me.
You got a lot more gray hair coming in, pal, I noticed.
Just since you were there.
You have anything that can help me with that?
I do.
Yeah.
Time for Steve to start with the product. Rosario takes a breaking ball inside, and it's 1-1. Ahmed had a base hit to center field his last time up after hitting one to the fence in center his first trip. Marlins start to get their bullpen up. Arlene Garcia has begun to throw. O'Brien playing so far off the bag. Throws to first base are pretty ineffectual.
It's playing in front of the runner, which I would not do, and we've seen more of it. They got a pitcher on there. I'd play behind him. There's no deception if you're in front of the runner.
Rosario pulls one into left for a base hit. So 3 straight hits for the Mets, and that moves the tying run into scoring position with 1 out. Second hit of the game for Rosario.
And I got to think that Don Mattingly is going to have a short leash on Brigham here. Got the left-hander up in the bullpen. Looks like the Mets are kind of got their measure of Brigham here in the 5th inning.
So now McNeil with 2 aboard gets his bat back from Vargas, and we'll see if that bat has 2 hits in it in 1 inning. And here comes Mattingly, and with the left-hander Garcia ready in the bullpen, looks like he's going to make the move right now. So young Brigham appears to be done. Nothing.
This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Verizon.
starter earlier in the year, comes on in relief.
23rd game appearance for Harleen.
He had that great start against the Mets in Miami early this year when he went 6 scoreless innings. Vargas at second, Rosario at first with 1 out. McNeil, the batter, is 0 for 2 in this game. A comeback or a pop-up. That's with 3 straight hits, a run in. Jeff Brigham out after 4 1/3 through 79 pitches in his second big league start. And McNeil floats one in the air along the line and left. On comes Bostic, and he can't get there. A foul ball. That is a tough place to negotiate. You got that low wall, you got the tarp, you got the ball boy getting out of the way with the stool. Bostic making his first start for the Marlins and could not quite get there. Got to get the chair back in place. Make sure the cover is right on the tarp. McNeil 3 for 12 in this series. That's with 2 on and 1 out. Sinker by Garcia, and it's 0-2. Garcia has been vulnerable to the home run ball this year. 61 2/3 innings, 16 home runs.
And that's pitching in that ballpark too.
Oof. That is a very bad home run rate. It's 4 left-hand hitters stacked up in a row. McNeil, Conforto, Smith, Nimmo. So Don Mattingly had his lefty ready, and he'll probably run Garcia through that combo. And McNeil grounds one, might be a double play. Rojas to second, Riddle to first, not in time. McNeil beat it out to keep the inning going. Like a pretty fair chance for 2, but McNeil beats the rap.
Rojas could have come and got that ball. He let the ball come to him. That's the difference. That's a half a step right there.
So that keeps the inning going for Conforto with 1st and 3rd and 2 out. Michael's 0 for 2 in this game. A fly out and a soft line drive after homering in game 1. And he takes a slider down for ball 1. Brigham, a very interested spectator right now. He's been charged with just 1 run, but responsible for the 2 on base. Hoping Garcia can get him through it, but Conforto drives one to deep right center toward the wall, and it one-hops the fence. Vargas in with the tying run. Here comes McNeil trying to score. The relay by Rojas cut off, and the Mets have the lead. Michael Conforto with a 2-run double puts the Mets in front 3-2. So the revitalization of Michael Conforto continues.
Hanging slider right here, and he's all over it into the gap. And the inability to turn the double play the batter before hurts the Marlins. And Jason Vargas helping himself by getting a base hit in that inning and scores a run.
All 3 runs charged to Brigham, so he's now on the hook in this game. And here's Dominic Smith trying to tack one on with Conforto at second, and he takes a fastball for a strike.
Well, 2 outs here. There's no question in your mind. You're busting on contact.
You know, I wouldn't say that McNeil is the fastest player around, but he's fast enough.
He gets a little head of steam going. He's good, and he cuts the corners well around the bases.
His ability to beat out the back end of the double play led directly to the 2 runs. And then races home from first on the double to give the Mets the lead. That's with 6 hits in this game, 4 of them in this inning. And Smith pounds one into the ground foul. So Brigham's final line, he went 4 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 5 hits, a walk, 2 strikeouts, a home run. You have to say a much more positive outing for him than his first start against the Blue Jays, but nonetheless, he's now pitcher of record on the short side. Seth Lugo starting to get busy in the Mets bullpen. Vargas has thrown 82 pitches over 5 innings. Hasn't allowed a hit since Rojas' 2-run homer in the 3rd. But Vargas generally has been a 5 or 6 inning pitcher this year. And pops out a Wallach Smith, and no swing by Smith, 1-2. Two from Garcia, and Dom lays off, and it's away, 2-2. Smith 1 for 2 today, 4 for 12 in the series, getting more and more regular playing time over the last week. As we'll have more slots available over the weekend. They'll be playing 3 DH games in Boston, which will probably mean more playing time for Smith. Weird to be playing interleague games in September.
Yes. Oh, for me, it's just strange to be playing out of division in September, even though the Mets are in division here.
Yeah, everything else the rest of the way is in the National League East. After Boston, the Mets go to Philly and Washington, and then come home to finish up against Atlanta and Miami. And you'd have to think, the way things are going right now, that by the time the Mets get home to play the Braves are going to have the division wrapped up.
Correct.
7.5 game lead now over the fading Phillies. Phillies are now 11-23 since the 5th of August. Well, the Nats lost that game. The Cubs got the run on the bunt by Javi Baez in the top of the 10th and held on. So Washington had a chance to tie Philly for 2nd place, but they're now back to 8.5 behind. So the Cubs are now a game and a half in front of the Central with that win. Pitch number 8 to Smith, and he fouls off another one. Again the 2-2, and again a foul ball as the battle continues.
Conforto now. Michael has 67 RBIs on the year, and he can set his sights now for 80, and that would be remarkable with the first half he had. 13, all you need. Push, push.
10th pitch of the at bat. And that's lined right to the 3rd baseman. That retires the side. Time. Peter O'Brien leads off against Jason Vargas in the 6th. O'Brien has walked and flied out 0 for 1. And Vargas gets a changeup in for a strike, 0-1. O'Brien, Galloway, and Riddle against Vargas, who gave up a 2-run homer to Miguel Rojas in the 3rd, and has retired 9 of the next 11 hitters without giving up another hit. And a good changeup there, and he's ahead on O'Brien 0-2.
Important here for Vargas. Your team gives you the lead. You go out there and you have a clean inning.
And he helped them to the lead with a base hit after the Nido home run. Nido's first big league home run. That has to feel good.
Yeah.
Sure, they went out and negotiated for the ball. Get it back for him for the trophy case. And that one pops out of Nido's mitt.
I thought it was a strike.
I think that he thought it was a strike, but his failure to catch it might have.
That ball sailed.
Yeah.
Watch this ball sail, Garrett. And then, you know, Vargas is a sinker ball pitcher. This ball sailed inside. That's a
Yeah, that's a strike.
That fooled everybody.
But not catching it probably cost him the call from Nick Marley. Rolled over to the left side. Rosario quickly to it. Throws out O'Brien, 1 away.
Let's go to Eamon McEnany in the studio for a game break brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealers.
All right, thanks, Eamon. Here's Isaac Galloway, and he takes the strike. We're confusing everybody, Keith.
Well, Eamon, I just barely got it in there, too, brother. I was waiting for my cue, and I never got it. And I finally got a very frantic verbal command from my.
Reyes handles Galloway's grounder, and there are 2 out.
It goes to show how much I pay attention to when you read the copy.
You know, there's one thing it's got to be snappy. You know, we're all about snappy, Keith.
Well, I don't want to
get in, get out,
yeah,
get it away.
I know, but I'm afraid I'm going to step on someone, and I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Too much caution. Can't be taking all these pitches, Keith. You got to swing the bat.
Well, you know, we're doing this tonight, folks, because Gary, it's a bit tough 48 hours for Gary, and I'm reading the copy for him because. Think about it. He's got to read that stuff every night.
All right, Keith. In the bottom of this inning, when the Mets come to bat, you're doing play-by-play.
Oh.
We're gonna give you the real stuff. Get you in a rhythm. Start feeling like you're in the flow of the game. JT Riddle is flied out, grounded out 0 for 2, and he swings at the curveball and fouls it off, and it's 0-2. And Vargas, after getting the lead, looking as sharp as he's looked all night. Seth Lugo is busy and ready in the Mets bullpen if needed. Tyler Kinley is up in the Marlins pen. But Vargas trying to get through the 6th. Ahead 0-2 on Riddle. And he just missed. 1-2. Two coming, and Riddle fouls it off. Tomorrow night, the Mets open their series at Fenway Park with Noah Syndergaard on the mound. Our coverage begins at 6:30 tomorrow night, right here on SNY. First time in 9 years the Mets will play at Fenway since the 2009 series that featured the Omir Santos home run off Jonathan Papelbon. Riddle flies one out to right. Nimmo is there. And that retires the side. Keith on play-by-play when we come back. We go to the bottom of the 6th, 3-2 New York.
can see the Mets fell behind 2-0. Rosario with 2 hits. The big blow are the first home run of his career. Nito got the Mets on the board with that home run. Conforto off a left-hander, hanging slider. 2-run RBI double. And we have a new right fielder in the game. That is Rafael Ortega. And there's a flip-flop here. Tyler Kinley, Gare. Take it away.
7th big league game for Tyler Kinley, whom the Marlins got back from the Twins, who took him in the Rule 5 draft.
Ground ball to second base. Routine. Nimmo always busting to first base, Gare. Gotta like that. Austin Jackson 0 for 2 tonight. Has kind of slowed down a bit. 2 strikeouts, 2 called strikeouts in this game so far.
Kinley features a power fastball. He'll dial it up to 98 miles an hour. Has a good little slider. It's one of the reasons why the Twins decided to take a flyer on him, even though he was probably not major league ready. They returned him to the Marlins on the 1st of May.
Another one of those guys with a good arm. Looks like got a hard slider, but command is on this level. You can throw it through a brick wall. If you can't get the breaking ball over, you're going to have a hard time. Big, strong kid. Pretty much straight up on the infield and outfield for Jackson. Slider on the outside corner. 1-2. You see the defense right there, fairly straight up. Mets hanging on to a 3-2 lead here in the bottom of the 6th. Slider just missed. 2-2. Fastball right by Jackson there, Garen. You're right. He has got a good live fastball.
Kinley's a Miami native who was on the Marlins radar for a long time.
Threw that one right by him. You see him reaching on that swing. And not a good night for Jackson. 0 for 3 with 3 Ks. Ball caroms all down the left field line. Jose's hit the ball hard once in his 0 for 2. Hit a bullet at the second baseman. His last at bat. Gare, Jose's had a nice series. He's hit the ball, got a couple hits last night. Hit the ball hard. I was a bit surprised that Flores didn't play third base. Hasn't played more third base, Gare?
I don't think that Wilmer's arm is really up to playing third base right now. He had some throwing problems for a while. They could only play him at first for a while. They eased him back in to play second. He played there in the first game of the doubleheader. I don't know if he's quite up to playing third at this point.
There's Wilmer.
But his playing time has certainly diminished, particularly since Jay Bruce and Dom Smith have come in to handle first base.
And McNeil, Jeff McNeil, hitting so well, it's taken over the role at second base. He's been the everyday second baseman for the Metros.
The Metros?
Yeah.
Is that like the Metro Stars?
Slider misses inside. Full count. We'll take a look at the motion here, Gare.
Well, you can see why Kinley's had control problems in the minor leagues. Averaged 5 walks per inning, per 9 innings in his stint in AAA this year.
Full count to Jose. No, slider. See so much today.
I just don't understand why we see so many young pitchers throwing 3-2 breaking balls, especially a guy who can throw 98 miles an hour.
Well, it's certainly become a breaking ball league. Behind the count, Gare, 2-0, 3-1. predominantly off-speed pitches. Tomas Nido got the Mets on the board, hit his first home run, first major league home run.
Hit it behind in the count, too.
Whoa.
That was almost a Bob Murphy call.
And we have Wilmer Flores on deck in the on-deck circle. He'll pinch hit if he gets an opportunity here for Vargas. And popped up. Will that stay in play? Over to the right side. O'Brien, he's got it. Piece of cake. That'll end it. As the Mets go down, not in order. They leave one man on base at the end of 6. 3-2 Metsies.
Base bat ninth. Jeff McNeil moves from second to third, and Seth Lugo is on to pitch for New York.
Well, this is kind of the Seth's. You know, he's the bridge, and this is when you Mets have a lead. They like to go 2 innings, 7 and 8 with Seth, and then he hands off to Gazelman.
Derek Dietrich pinch hitting for the Marlins, his first appearance of the day after starting the first 2 games of the series at first base. 3 for 7 in the series so far. Batting for Chris Bostic with a lefty-righty switch. Nice recovery by Jason Vargas after he gave up the 2-run homer to Rojas in the third. He didn't allow another hit the rest of the way. As Lugo gets a swing and miss on the curveball. Vargas allowed just 2 runs and 3 hits over 6 innings. As you look at tonight's starters, brought to you by People's United Bank. Jeff Brigham's second big league start started well, but 3 runs in the 5th cost him. And Lugo pops the fastball in for strike 3 call. Dietrich down on strikes for the first out in the 7th.
I always feel that the Mets are in good shape when Lugo comes in the 7th inning. They've got a lead, and that is right on the knees. I think he was looking for the breaking ball, the big hook, and he got the heater.
Throw him the heater, Ricky. Here's Chad Wallach, and he takes curveball for a strike. Wallach is fouled out and been hit by a pitch. 0 for 1. Rafael Ortega is sitting 9th in the order. He's on deck. And the foul tip on the slider, and it's 0-2.
Well, here's the curveball from Seth. There you go. And I tell you what, folks, that looks like a lazy break. It's not. He's got one of the best curves in the league. A lot of spin rate.
Over 3,000 RPM. You can power your car with that curveball. And the fastball just inside 1-2. Lugo's last outing against the Phillies, he gave up a home run to Carlos Santana, but still got the save. A 2-inning save. And the curveball, and he strikes out Wallach. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lugo to start the 7th inning.
That's a beauty. Watch the drop off the old baseball parlance off the table. That thing really just dropped off the table. Look at that spin. And that is almost a 12-6 right there. Just a little angle to it.
Just the way he's able to cock that wrist to get that spin is phenomenal. Here's Ortega up for the first time in this game. Started the first game in left field and went 1 for 4. He's 1 for 11 in the series. And change up down, a ball and a strike. Drew Rosinski is up in the Miami bullpen. Miguel Rojas, who had the last Miami hit, waiting on deck. And curveball again.
Boy, he's got
a swinging strike.
He's got it going on, and when he feels it, he's going to go to it, and he loves it tonight. And that is Mr. Lugo I'm talking about.
One-two coming. And Ortega fouls off the 97-mile-an-hour fastball.
That sneaky fastball, too.
One-two coming. And he fouls off another one. 12 pitches, 10 strikes for Lugo. That's trying to sweep a doubleheader for the first time in 4 tries this year. Their first 3 doubleheaders all resulted in splits. Matt started the opener, got taken off the hook with the Mets walk-off win. Ortega tries to hold, and he did. Shane Livensparger, the third base umpire, says he held it back, and it's 2-2. Seventh pitch to Ortega, and it's up and away. Full count. We have a very young, very enthusiastic fan in front.
Yes, we do.
Good for her. 3-2 coming, and Ortega takes strike 3 called. Got him looking with a fastball, and Lugo strikes out the side in the top of the 7th.
Well, there's the curveball, but that didn't put away Mr. Ortega. He snuck the fastball by him. celebrate game day with M. And let's take a drive around the majors presented by Cadillac. And we talked earlier about the Rockies winning today. Arenado and Story. What a year Story's having. That's a big win for Colorado. That's a big hurts Arizona. Baez gets the win with an RBI single. Was it a swinging bunt, Garrett, that won that game for him in extra innings?
Derek Dietrich stays in the game in left field. Drew Rachinski in to pitch the bottom of the 7th. Wilmer Flores up for the first time. Rachinski's first appearance in the series. Wilmer started the first game of the doubleheader, went 0 for 3. It'll be Flores, then Rosario and McNeil for the Mets.
There's the little girl that is saying, "Let's go Mets." He's into it. Right below us. So, Garrett, I got to ask you a question.
What's that?
How did I do on the play-by-play? You can tell me the truth. It's a little nerve-wracking.
I was very impressed. I thought you handled it very well.
Really? Sir? No, you don't have to blow smoke, you know.
Am I a smoke blower? Have we met? No, I thought you handled it really well. It's not an easy thing to. Everybody thinks it's the easiest thing to do, and of course, because you know it's just watching a baseball game and talking about it. But there's a lot of stuff going on.
I find radio a little easier because you have to describe everything and you have reason to talk. I'm sitting up here trying to find ways to engage you. It was a dead inning. It wasn't a lot happening. And now I know why you sit home and you come so prepared, because there's so many points in the game. You know, Ron and I are just doing analysis. You know, you're queuing us up. But as the maestro in the play-by-play, I'm sitting here going, well, what can I do to engage Gary? And it's different. It's different. It's different.
Well, there's another thing about TV versus radio, you know, rolled out to short, and Riddle makes the play on Flores, 1 out. And that is that on radio, there's no producer talking in your ear. So you kind of have to just do it yourself.
Right. And I kind of like, you know, describing the action, and because, you know, obviously in radio, the people that are listening can't see.
Right.
But it's a little tricky up here on television. And then you got all that copy you got to read, and you got the producer in your ear counting you out to, you know, 5, 4, 3 to commercial. And you're so, you know, well, you're an old pro.
Well, then, you know, also you're trying to make sure that what you're talking about is the same thing that the director is showing on the screen.
Correct.
You don't have to worry about that on radio, and you can paint your own tableau.
Yeah, it's. I was a little nervous, to be honest with you. I wasn't relishing the moment.
Oh my! 0-2 to Rosario, and he lifts one foul. Ahmed's got 2 hits in this game after sitting in game 1. It's got all 3 of their runs in the 5th inning. A Tomas Nido home run, his first in the big leagues. A 2-run double for Michael Conforto to put the Mets in front. And there they remain. Rachinski, the 4th Marlins pitcher in this game. Jeff Brigham went 4 1/3, allowed 3 runs, 5 hits. Harley Garcia gave up that go-ahead hit to Conforto. Tyler Kinley worked a hitless 6th. 1-2 to Rosario with Jeff McNeil waiting on deck. Rosario pops one up. Wallach coming back, hoping, but that's out of play. Todd Frazier, the walk-off hero in game 1. Pretending to give signs in game 2. There's some guys who are better off playing every game.
I can always tell you one thing as an everyday player. when you did get a day off, it was really a relaxing day where you really just, you know, you wind up doing stuff like that, or you could just sit there. You just don't feel like, okay, that's just one day I don't have to come to the park and really, even though you got to be ready to pinch hit. You know, usually you hope for a 10-0 game in your favor, so you know you're not going to play. And it's just really a good, take a deep breath.
Poke the other way, and that's going to fall into right, a base hit for Rosario, his 3rd hit of the game. Just a little punch shot into right. And Rosario has himself a 3-hit evening.
Well, it seems like Rosario's approach today, that ball ran in on his hands. He just kind of inside outed it nicely to right field. But his approach has been up the middle here, which I like. He's had a successful run on it today. Nice 3 for 4.
So the Mets have a 1-out base runner with Jeff McNeil coming up. You know, apropos what you were talking about with Frazier sitting out the 2nd game today, let me ask you this. If you're an everyday player and you only get a handful of days off over the course of a season, which would you rather have? If you have a doubleheader and then a single game, would you rather have the 2nd game or one of the games of the doubleheader off, or would you rather play both games and have the next day completely off?
I always wanted to play 2 in a doubleheader. I always went into a doubleheader feeling I had a chance to get 6 hits. I always had that attitude going in for a doubleheader, and I wanted to play 2. And those were the days where you didn't play day-night. Now day-night's a whole different ball game, Gare. I don't know how I would feel about that, having to sit, you know, for how many hours and waiting for a 7 o'clock start. And it's like starting the engine up again. I don't know if I would have liked that.
There goes Rosario. Top past the mound, deflected by the pitcher, and everybody's safe. An infield hit for Jeff McNeil, and the Mets have 2 men on.
Well, when you're hot, you're hot. Everything's going his way. His bloops and his bleeders are finding holes, as well as his line drives, which have been plenty of line drives.
Brzezinski got just enough of that ball to slow it down. Had he not, Rojas might have had a play on McNeil, but McNeil has his first hit in this game, and the Mets have 2 men aboard for Conforto, who drove in a pair with a double his last time up. Michael now has 4 extra base hits in this series. 2 doubles, 2 home runs. And he takes a slider low and in.
Well, McNeil's going to bust here. He's got a chance for a hit. He's going to turn the Jets on. He's deceptively fast.
Putting 2 on with a bloop and a bleeder. And Conforto takes a strike. 1-1.
Well, Conforto can have a big day right here with a nice gapper.
Game tying home run of the day, the first game today. Go ahead 2-run double in the 2nd game. And now a chance to add to a Mets 3-2 lead in the 7th. Michael takes a cutter at the knees for a strike, and it's 1-2. She's very persistent.
Yes, she is.
One-two coming, and Conforto lines a base hit. Rosario to third. He's being waved around. The throw to the plate by Ortega comes up short. It's an RBI single for Conforto, his third RBI in the game, and it's 4-2 New York. '68 RBIs now for Michael.
Well, the beat goes on. Fastball in, turns on it. Speed kills, does it not? We've seen enough of O'Neill on the bases. A very savvy base runner. Made sure that ball got through that line drive. Didn't want to get doubled up.
So 3 straight hits. Conforto drives in his third run of the game, his fourth of the day. And the Mets now have a 2-run lead.
Ball in. Got in on him a little bit, but stayed level and hit that bullet to right field.
So now Dominic Smith with first and third and 1 out. Dom is 1 for 3 in this game. And he fouls off the fastball, 0-1. So first and third situation, double play in order, but the shift on for the Marlins, which sometimes leads to awkward turns for double plays.
So that's a whole new skill now you're going to have to work on, young kids, as they're growing up. There's more than several ways to turn a double play.
Well, the big problem with this is if you have the shortstop playing on the right of second base and he has to go to his left for a ball, there's nobody to cover the bag.
Yep.
To Smith with Nimmo on deck. McNeil with third, Conforto at first with 1 out. And Dom bounces one toward the hole. Nice stop by O'Brien. He'll have a play at first as a run comes home. Peter O'Brien keeping that ball from getting to the outfield, but McNeil comes in to score the second run of the inning, and it's 5-2.
Well, nice play by O'Brien here, stretching out there. Very nice play, nice range to his right.
So give an RBI to Dom Smith. Now they're going to intentionally walk Brandon Nimmo. So add an abracadabra walk to Nimmo's totals.
There it is.
I like the angry rabbit. So 2 runs home in the inning, and now Austin Jackson has had a rough second game, 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Chance here with 2 out and 2 on to add to the Mets lead. And Jackson punches one down to first, and O'Brien will handle this one, and that retires the side. But the Mets tack on 2. Conforto drives in his third run of the game, and it's 5-2 New York heading to the 8th.
Major League Baseball player to be away from the field in addition to being a star on it.
And I've had a hard time with it, certainly. But I guess you do what you can do, and, you know, you do everything in your power. And I don't want to, you know, when it's all said and done, say, man, I wish I would have done this, or I wish I would have done that. You know, you do it, and, you know, then it's out of your control. I did everything I could do. I mean, it's as simple as that.
And today, the Mets and David Wright announced that he will be activated for the final homestand of the year. He'll make one more start for the Mets on Saturday, September 29th, and then wave goodbye. He will not officially retire, but that's just semantics. As David said today, it's a struggle just to be able to wake up in the morning and not have something be wrong. And he's had enough physical issues that he understands that the end is coming, but he gets to have one last hurrah, and that's what he really wanted all along. Eighth inning, Miguel Rojas, who hit the two-run homer that accounted for the only two Marlins runs in this game. That came in the third against Jason Vargas, and the Marlins haven't had another hit since. Seth Lugo has struck out the side in the seventh, pours a fastball in for a strike, and it's 1-1. Rojas, Brinson, and Anderson. You see Rojas, one home run every season until this year when he has upped the ante. Jason Vargas went 6 innings, allowed 2 runs, 3 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, in line for his 6th win of the year. Mets were down in this game 2-0, but 3 in the 5th, 2 in the 7th. 3 RBIs for Michael Conforto, and the Mets with a 3-run lead as they try and sweep a doubleheader. Fastball for a strike to Rojas. Daniel Zamora staying busy in the Mets bullpen. The left-hander, but it's all right-handed bats up for the Marlins in this inning. Rojas, Brinson, Anderson, and then O'Brien. 2-2 coming. And Rojas fouls it away. Eliezer Hernandez gets up in the Marlins bullpen. The pitcher due up 5th in the inning. There's Hernandez. Started against the Mets earlier this year. Another one of the rookie starters for the Marlins against the Mets. 6 of them this year. Rojas yanks one foul.
SNY Super Slow Motion is brought to you by your Mercedes-Benz Tri-State dealers. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
I would opt for the best.
The best.
The best.
That's right.
7th pitch from Lugo to Rojas. And he struck him out. 4 batters, 4 strikeouts for Seth Lugo, this time on a high inside fastball.
Boy, Seth just keeps getting better and better. And he knows he belongs now. Seth knows that he is a major league pitcher.
But does he know that he's a major league reliever? Here's Lewis Brinson, 1 for 2 and a walk in this game. I mean, he has been so good as a reliever, and yet when he's been asked to start, he has excelled in that role too. I mean, just remember that Sunday night game he pitched against the Yankees. Oh, 0-2 to Brinson.
Look at his legs and his head. Look how low to the ground he is.
Oh, 2 to Brinson. And he just got a piece of the curveball. So would you call him a drop and drive pitcher? Like Seaver and that ilk? As low as he gets?
No, but he does get low. I mean, Seaver and Kuzman really pushed off. I mean, we don't.
And another strikeout for Lugo. That's 5 in a row.
You do recall that Seaver and Kuzman got so low that they got dirt on their back, on their right low. They were lefty and righty, so you don't see any dirt on Lugo's back leg there on the rubber.
But he does get low.
He does get low, where Seaver would drag that right knee on the ground there, and he'd have a skid mark on his knee. Kuzman also on the opposite. Obviously, he was left-handed.
And Brian Anderson takes ball 1. Anderson's been up 3 times, struck out all 3, so he is a candidate for a golden sombrero tonight. And Lugo misses below the knees, 2-0. Lugo has faced 5 batters, struck them all out. Last night, the San Diego Padres had a stretch where 4 relievers struck out 9 consecutive batters. It's happening everywhere. The strikeout is prevalent in the game in a way that it's never been before. This will be the 11th straight year in which a new strikeout record is set in baseball. Coming into the day, 16.9 strikeouts per game, more than ever. Curveball, and it's 2-2.
He's got a good one tonight. Look at this thing. Look at the bottom drop out.
3rd time this year already that Lugo's had 5 strikeouts in a relief appearance. And going for 6. Hit hard through the hole, a base hit. And so Anderson breaks that string with a 2-out single.
Steve Gills and Wayne Randazzo are joined by Gary Cohen in the latest episode of Rain Delay Theater, the podcast. Gary shares stories about the legendary Bob Murphy and reveals the secret behind his massive tie collection. I didn't know that. Just search Rain Delay Theater and subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts.
You didn't just call Wayne Randazzo Rain Man, did you?
No, I didn't.
Here's Peter O'Brien.
I didn't realize I was supposed to keep reading. I don't pay attention to those things.
You know, I think this is great for you. This is like you're learning
what's going on.
A different job and seeing how the other half lives. Very impressed with your work. You know, this is a big night for firsts. You're doing play-by-play. Russ Relkin's doing statistics.
That's right. And we're knocking out 2 games in one night.
Makes me sad that we're that much closer to the end of the year. I don't get to see you for long periods of time.
Oh, I'll hear you on the radio, and
you'll be the one.
I'll be hearing you go, he's dribbling the ball up the floor.
Now that I would pay to hear. You doing basketball on the radio.
Oh,
that would be fantastic.
I would stutter my way out of there. Boy, oh boy, that's rough.
2-1 to O'Brien, who's 0 for 2 in a walk in this game after homering in game 1, and Lugo ties him in a knot, but he stopped the swing. 3-1.
There's Lugo right there. Look at Tom. Tom would drag. Oh, very similar, but Tom dragged that knee.
Yeah, got it all the way down.
Yep.
That's a great job by the truck to match up those images.
Who was your favorite radio basketball broadcast?
Oh, Marv Albert. I mean, I grew up with Marv.
Did you hear Chick Hearn or any of those guys?
I got to hear Chick Hearn occasionally, but not very much. And I know Bill King was great doing the Warriors as well. But Marv was the guy I grew up with, and he was fantastic. 3-2 to O'Brien. Anderson runs, and O'Brien pops one up. Should stay in play for McNeil, or will it?
Nope.
Nope, it'll go out of play. Coming up tonight after the postgame show, Geico Sports Night, we'll have all the latest on David Wright's announcement. And all the football news as well. Check out the pennant races. Keep you updated on everything New York sports. That's what they do on Geico Sports Night. Tonight and every night after the postgame. Again, the 3-2. Center field. Jackson in. Side retired. 2 scoreless innings for Seth Lugo with 5 strikeouts. Lugo, Seaver. Take your pick.
Us in the booth to call half an inning of a Mets game on SNY. Just go to sny.tv/kidcaster and enter your child's video audition for a chance to win the 2018 SNY Kidcaster contest. We look forward to that.
We do. That's a big day. Eliezer Hernandez will pitch the bottom of the 8th inning. Hernandez, a Rule 5 draft pick from the Astros. He's been used as a starter 6 times. Now his 23rd relief appearance. Jack Reinheimer will bat for the pitcher as we start the last of the 8th. Batting for Lugo, who was terrific for his 2 innings. Reinheimer started the first game at shortstop, went 0 for 3. Tomas Nido on deck, then Wilmer Flores in the home 8th. And Reinheimer flies one to left center. Over comes Dietrich, but Brinson steps in front, and Brinson makes the catch for the first out. So Reinheimer retired, and now Nido. Big night for Tomas Nido. First big league home run that came in the 5th inning to get the Mets on the board. Came in its 77th big league at bat, 10 last year, and the rest this season. And he pulls that one right into the glove of Anderson for the second out. Nido's hit a couple of bullets tonight. 2 up and 2 set aside by Hernandez. Robert Gazelman is up in the Mets bullpen to watch Anderson glove that line drive. So Gazelman's going to get the save chance if there's no further scoring. Have you noticed that Wilmer has changed his walk-up music? He is no longer using the Friends theme. That's a major development, isn't it?
Well,
he used that for a long time.
I think you're exaggerating a little bit there.
In what respect?
It's a major event.
Well, people have made a big deal about Wilmer and his friend's connection. Maybe he's no longer, you know, a friend. Developing a little more of an edge. Takes a changeup for a strike, and it's 1-2. In the ninth inning, the Marlins will have the pitcher spot, then Riddle and Dietrich duo against Gazelman. Flores fouls one back. Eliezer Hernandez, just 23 years old. He's the 5th Marlins pitcher in this game. It's got their first 3 runs off the starter Jeff Brigham, the last 2 against Drew Rachinski in the 7th. 1-2, and Flores strikes out to end the inning. Mets go down 1-2-3, and we head to the 9th with the Mets looking for a sweep. 5-2 New York.
That's right.
Robert Gazelman on for the save opportunity as we go to the 9th.
And that'll be going after his 11th save. Robert has had his ups and downs this year, but I think he's made big strides. He goes out there sometimes, it seems, and if he gives it up, he gives it up. He gives it up pretty good. But he's been good an awful lot.
Starlin Castro pinch hitting to lead off the 9th inning, and he takes a strike.
He's also another a guy like Lugo, who's now, he knows, Gazelman knows he's a major league pitcher. It's good to watch this progression, this development. Remember when Robert came up, he started that first year.
Yep.
And then he came back the next year and he just got lit up. And you know what? He showed fortitude. He's come back now and he's settled right in this role in the bullpen.
Castro flares one down the right field side, and it goes foul. Castro 0 for 4 in the opener today, but 1,436 hits at age 28. It's a lot of hits.
Yes. So the next, what, he's 28 years old, so he's got 7 years are very critical for him. Start getting to 35. He doesn't walk a lot. He's a swinger, so.
Meanwhile, Seth Lugo, 2 innings in relief, no runs, 1 hit, 5 strikeouts. Back-to-back 5 strikeout performances by Lugo, each 2 innings or less. That's the first Met pitcher ever to do that. Back-to-back outings of 2 innings or less with 5 or more strikeouts. Zellman with the curveball strikes out Castro for the first out of the ninth, and that's 13 strikeouts for Met pitchers tonight.
Well, big curveball. I think some of these players got 1 foot on the bus. Marlins off. I don't know where the Marlins are heading to. The Mets, of course, big 3-game series up in Boston.
Marlins are going to Philadelphia to try and bury the Phillies. JT Riddle is 0 for 3. Mets have been on a nice little late season roll. Finished off their road trip winning 2 out of 3 in San Francisco, winning 2 out of 3 in Los Angeles. Started this homestand by taking 2 out of 3 from the Phillies, and now poised, if they can hang on to this lead, to win 3 out of 4 from the Marlins. Riddle hits one behind the bag at second, and that's right where Rosario is, and that's the second out. And thus the Marlins are down to their final out of this long day of baseball. This is the Mets' 16th doubleheader at Citi Field. They've only swept 3 times. Against the Dodgers in 2010 and against the Marlins and Phillies in 2011. So this would be their first home doubleheader sweep in 7 years. Derek Dietrich up for the second time. And he is hit or no?
Nope.
Nope, and missed him. He gets hit a lot, but not that time. Just missed his uniform shirt. Might have got him on the way by. 19 times he's been hit this year, leads the league as he seems to every year. And the curveball misses, and it's 2-0. JT Realmuto is out on deck to be a pinch hitter if Dietrich can keep it going. Mets will be in Boston tomorrow night with Noah Syndergaard on the mound, starting their final road trip of the year. And a fastball in for a strike, 2-1 to Dietrich. Zellman trying to nail it down for Jason Vargas and get him his 6th win of the year. And the changeup misses, 3-1 to Dietrich. And there's ball 4, and the Marlins have 9th inning life. Dietrich on with 2 out. So Miami needs 1 more base runner to get the tying run to the plate, and they'll send up their best hitter, JT Realmuto, to pinch hit. Realmuto started the opener, went 0 for 2 with a couple of walks. The Mets have held him in check in this series, just 1 for 8. But trying to get on base now and get that tying run to the plate in a 5-2 game. Dom Smith trying to get Gesellman's attention. Now he does. Says, I'm going to play behind the runner. That's one LA guy yelling to another. You know, they're very laid back. But sometimes you got to yell. Even in SoCal.
SoCal.
Nothing in 1 to Realmuto. You Northern Californians guys
No
don't
Cal.
like SoCal?
What no Cal.
No Cal. Realmuto, lots of success against Gesellman, 6 hits and 9 at bats. And he Flies one to shallow left. Long run in for Conforto, and he gets there and makes the catch off the shoot tops, and the ball game is over, and the Mets sweep the doubleheader from the Marlins as they win the nightcap. 3 more RBIs for Conforto. Vargas settled in after giving up an early home run to get the win, and the Mets take the nightcap 5-2.
Well, a soggy series here. Long rain delay last night, but Conforto continues his torrid hitting here in the month of late August, September. Big blow today. Home run in the first game, 3 RBIs in the second, and he has turned it on.
Big doubleheader for Conforto, tying home run in game 1 and the 3 RBIs in game 2. The game summary presented by Jim Beam. Tomas Nido with his first big league home run to help the Mets along the way as Vargas gets his 6th win of the year, and the Mets get their first doubleheader sweep at Citi Field since 2011. For every Mets win, the Mets organization is proud to contribute $2,500 to Northwell Health and the Cass Institute for Women's Health. For more information, visit northwell.edu/cats. This win brings the total contribution so far this season to $170,000. Big day for the Mets as they sweep a pair from the Marlins. 5-2 in the nightcap. We'll be right back to Citi Field.